Ever pondered about the peculiarities that transpire when two inseparable comrades find themselves in a dispute over something rather distasteful? Buckle up for a riveting tale of deceit, rage and, well, regurgitation. Allow us to present our protagonists. Stu Maker, the notorious school jester, armed with a lethal sense of humour and an equally fiery temper, and Billy Loomis, the brooding maverick with a heart that's not quite gold, but let's overlook that for now. On a run-of-the-mill day in the heart of October, Stu and Billy were relishing their traditional rendezvous. Stu, ever the playful trickster, had the sparkle of mischief in his eyes. Suddenly, Billy's patience snapped. His voice, usually calm and soothing, took on a sharp, piercing quality as he bellowed, "Cook the damn beef stew already, damn! What is taking you so long?" A wave of anxiety washed over Stu, his cheeks flushing a deep red. Billy's tone was harsh, but his eyes, still glinting subtly, held a trace of mirth. Abruptly, Billy bellowed, "I'm back, baby boy!" His voice echoed the triumph as he re-entered the room. "Freddy Krueger, what are you scheming?" Billy inquired, his eyebrow arched, post his melodramatic overwhelmed of nervousness. Stu vomited and stammered, "I'm a bit anxious. It's just that I like you so much." His was a blend of remorse and an odd variant of joy. Suddenly, Billy, with a feral glint in his eyes, yelled, "Come here, Freddy Krueger, you've been naughty now," a little before Billy's theatrical comeback reprimand. He had asked, "Hey, Big Daddy, what's your go-to order from the Wendy's menu?" Stu, without losing a beat, and before anxiety overpowered him, replied, "Double cheeseburger." Suddenly, Billy, with a bag in his hand, hurls it at Stu, exclaiming, "Order up!" Billy was ignorant to the fact that Stu's concept of adding some spice comprised a bag full of half-consumed books and an ostentatious athletic throw. "Stu, is this—" Billy began, his eyes bulging as he assessed the contents of the bag. "Indeed it is," Stu responded, wheezing with laughter, "and it's loaded with your favourite from the library, Billy buddy." Stu was already prepped to launch the bag. The bag arced across the library, facial expression toggled between shock and outright horror as he apprehended what was about to transpire. But then, as the bag was nearing him, something unexpected occurred. Billy yelled, "Ah! Books!" The bag sailed over his head, barely missing him. Stu's laughter dwindled as he observed the bag zoom past Billy. He hadn't anticipated his prank to backfire in this manner. As Billy's face turned crimson, he retorted, "Stu, you fool!" Instead of storming off as one might expect, Billy astonished everyone by flinging a snowball at Stu's face. "I can't believe you tried to fling library books at me," he roared, while Stu could only stand frozen on the spot, bewildered as snowflakes cascaded down his face. Just then, a silhouette appeared. It was none other than Mr. Krueger, materializing as if he had walked straight out of a nightmare, his hand shimmering with what appeared to be ice, evoking a scene straight out of Frost's story. "Can I have your autograph, Mr. Krueger?" A voice echoed from the crowd, turning the already strange situation even more surreal. Enough, quiet down," a commanding voice reverberated from the entrance of the lunchroom. As the crowd turned to locate the voice, they were confronted with an unexpected sight. There stood Mr. Krueger, the school principal and local celebrity, donned in a red and green striped sweater, a brown fedora, and a handful of knives. Known not only for his strict discipline, but also his former career as a professional football player, his arrival was always a dramatic affair. Today, outfit only added to the spectacle that had taken over the cafeteria. Stu, soaked in soup, and Billy, radiating anger, appeared to be rooted to the spot. The bag of Wendy's leftovers seemed suspended in time. The air was thick with tension. Mr. Krueger scanned the room, his intense gaze finally landing on Billy and Stu. The room held its breath as he prepared to speak, expecting the inevitable scolding. But then, in a shocking turn, Billy, dressed in a Father Death costume, burst out, "Hello, Sydney!" A simultaneous intake of breath filled the room as all attention was now on Billy. His yell hung in the air, leaving everyone, including Mr. Krueger, too stunned to respond. Krueger cutting through the tension. "Well, that's a first," he admitted, searching his pocket for a pen. As he signed Billy's request, cafeteria was once again filled with noise and activity, the failed prank overlooked amidst the excitement of Mr. Kreuger's dramatic entrance and Billy's theatrical costume. The moral of the story, well, it's simple. If you're going to throw hot soup at your best friend, make sure you have a better aim. Or better yet, don't throw hot soup at all. It's generally not a good way to maintain a friendship. Suddenly, Billy breaks in yelling, "I'm going to McDonald's!" Adding ruckus, out of nowhere, Stu comes charging in. With a determined look in his eyes, he kicks Mr. Kreuger right in the nuts. As Mr. Kreuger doubles over, Stu yells at the top of his lungs, "Ah!" Now back to a saga of friendship betrayal and a desperately ill-starred bowl of soup. Here's your takeaway, folks. Pranks are all fun and games until someone gets hot soup thrown at them, or a swift kick in the nuts. Jot that down the next time you're scheming a hilarious prank. As the dust settles from the soup prank gone wrong, our story takes an unexpected turn. Suddenly, Billy breaks the silence, his voice resonating throughout the room. "You know what, Stu?" he declares, a note of amusement in his tone. "I love you, man." Silence then engulfs the room as everyone eagerly anticipates Stu's response. Billy, always the class clown, continues with his antics. A wide smile spread across his face. He invites, "Stu, come over here and give me a stew," still recovering from the soup prank, is caught off guard. The camera skillfully captures his surprised and incredulous expression. Billy, on the other hand, is beaming from ear to ear, thoroughly relishing the shock value his unexpected proclamation has caused. As this scene draws to a close, we leave you with an image of Billy in a fit of laughter, and Stu frozen in place, his face the epitome of sheer disbelief. What a twist, folks! Don't change the channel to see how this saga unfolds. Just when you thought things couldn't get any weirder, they do. After the last chuckle has died down, Stu's expression morphs into one of stone-cold seriousness. He marches over to Billy, his face a fiery mask of rage. "Billy, this isn't a joke!" Stu bellows, words echoing throughout the room. The camera zooms in to capture the exact moment Billy's amusement morphs into apprehension. Suddenly, in a bizarre twist, Stu grabs Billy by the collar and yanks him close. The gasps of astonishment are eclipsed by a collective gasp as Stu, in a peculiar display, whacks Billy where it hurts. The camera pans the room quickly to eternalize the stunned expressions of the bystanders, before returning its focus back to Billy and Stu. Their eyes are blown wide, they're a picture of utter astonishment. As the two men separate, a hush falls over the room. The camera zooms out to present Billy and Stu at the center stage, both taken aback and at a loss for words. And just like that, the strangeness dissipates. The camera lingers on their faces for a split second before fading to black, leaving the viewers with a tantalizing, "What's going to happen next? You'll just have to keep watching to..."